War Games, right? The book. I think this situation is half War Games and possibly half some real thing. But at the minimum, half War Games. So in the book, the Lightman guy, I don't know why these guys are all named Lightman. I don't know. David Lightman, I think was his name. In the book, he wants to play, or he hacks into the supercomputer, and he finds the AI, and the AI asks him if he would like to play a game. And the kid picks thermonuclear war because he thinks it's a game, but it's not a game. And then the computer does all the calculations and it figures out what it needs to do in order to wage thermonuclear war on the humans, or rather to have them wage it on each other. So this computer is in all the systems already, so it goes and it does an attack, and it looks like all of the nations have launched nukes at each other on the radar screens of these generals, right? These top level generals. So it looks like everyone has been launching nukes, and the general he's got his finger hovering over the button that launches an actual nuke, right? And if he launched the actual nuke, then the fake news would have turned into a reality, because the general responded to news that he didn't know was totally falsified and fabricated, as what's his name, T.I. guy would have said. So just because something is what you would call fake doesn't mean that it's not dangerous. It's actually more dangerous if it's fake, because most people are trusting and gullible and naive. Not most people. Well, yeah, most people. The ones who aren't that are the truth nuts, right? If the whole world's insane and you are sane, then to the rest of the world you look insane, because to everyone their own position is correct. For the most part, someone doesn't label themselves insane unless they're very self-honest. And then if they're labeling themselves insane, they're looking at that label as an enhancement to themselves, or a good character trait, a defense mechanism, perhaps an offensive, sarcastic option. Lots of options when you stop clutching and grabbing, right? You can use anything to your advantage. So in War Games, the situation almost ended in this general firing off an actual nuke. And we all know what will happen if... We don't know what will happen exactly, but likely what's to happen if someone fires a nuke, then that's just the end of life on the surface as we know it. And our nukes are much more powerful now than they were in Hiroshima and Nagasaki days. So what I'm saying is, to relate to this coronavirus situation, even if half of it was made up, or if it was exaggerated or embellished one way or the other, underreporting deaths, overreporting deaths, underreporting numbers of infection, overreporting, underreporting the curve of spread. Is it exponential? Is it steady? Any type of false reporting usually leads to problems. And our news has only been false reporting for the last, 50 years. And if not blatantly false, just spin, loads of spin, right? Or political interest or special interest groups, or, we're in such and such pocket, and we all know what that means. And when that's the case, you cannot, as the reporter, speak your own mind. People have been representing somebody, something, a group, a business, a cause. Even their own selves, they've been representing themselves with their straw man, like when they're referring to themselves as the bag of trinkets that the ego has collected over the 50-year period. So we've been lying about almost everything as a group and to ourselves, which makes a lot of sense when we look outside now and see that everyone's insane. But back to the original point, there doesn't have to be any sickness whatsoever. There could be nothing. It could be completely false flag, deep state thing for whatever reason. And just all you'd have to do is tell the hospitals that it's a strain of COVID. It's a strain of coronavirus, which there have been apparently 19 other versions, if they're going in chronological order one by one. Or 18 other versions. Virgins. So, even if the newest strain is not even on the scene yet, it can be made to look that way, and then the doctors will simply be testing for whatever they're testing for, if they're testing for anything at all. But my point is that if people catch the hype monster, if they catch the fear bug, and people in positions of power catch that, and they start shutting down borders, and they start shutting down infrastructure, internal, schools, businesses, bars. I heard they're supposed to shut the bars down in California. I mean, stuff's off the shelves and whatnot. If you start shutting down the infrastructure, then at some point, a country who's mostly living paycheck to paycheck is gonna, eventually work is gonna stop happening, because every part of the infrastructure is required for every other part. We don't have a lot of fail-safe mechanisms because our corporate beast just blunders on in one direction. It's blind. So even if the coronavirus was made up, if it's leading to all these closing down of things, then it's not made up. At that point, it has become real. The fake thing has become real in its actual effects. Just like in war games, what could have happened. It didn't actually happen. The guy, Lightman, was the hero because he came back, he got back into the command center just in time, and he told the general, don't press the button, like, it's all fake. Nobody's actually nuking anybody. No nukes are on, no warheads are on their way to anywhere. And he had to convince this guy to wait, he had to do the reverse countdown, or the countdown, and he counted it down to 0 to when the one was supposed to hit the Pentagon or wherever the command center was at, and it didn't hit. And then he was like, oh, that computer was full of shit. But it was so realistically portrayed that he had to go against his own logic to make that determination, and he had to trust this child. And we have supercomputers operating now, obviously. Uh-oh, I went the wrong way. Anyway, I gotta go. I'm going to the wrong work, but just food for thought on this latest thing. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I will see you next time. Peace.